The 1970s weren't just about muscle. They were about style, presence, and the kind of bold beauty that could only come from Detroit. Amid gas crises and shifting trends, American automakers still managed to create rolling works of art. Long hoods, sculpted lines, hidden headlights, and just the right amount of chrome. These cars didn't just turn heads. They owned the road with a blend of raw power and timeless elegance. Here are the 12 most beautiful American cars of the 1970s. Machines that proved performance and design could still ride side by side. Number 1. The 1970 Buick Riviera GS was a car that defined contradiction in the most beautiful way imaginable. It was at once stately and savage, graceful and aggressive, subtle and explosive. A high watermark not just for Buick, but for the entire category of personal luxury performance coupes. This wasn't just a muscle car in a tuxedo, it was an iron fist wrapped in a velvet glove, and the last gasp of an era when American automakers dared to blend brute force with elegance. It was also the swan song of the Riviera's second generation, the final model before Buick veered into more daring, polarizing territory with the boat-tail redesign of 1971. On first glance, the 1970 Riviera was all sophistication. It had one of the cleanest, most balanced designs to come out of GM's late 60s styling studios. A long, arrow-like hood, sharply creased fenders, taut body sides, and a fastback roofline that suggested motion even when the car stood still. The egg crate grille flowed seamlessly into the bumper, flanked by quad headlamps set deep into sculpted bezels. The formal rear quarter panels and squared-off deck gave it the bearing of a grand tourer. Chrome was used sparingly and with purpose, not slathered on for show. There was nothing garish about it. No stripes, no hood scoops, no spoilers. Just clean lines and presence. This was a car designed to glide down Interstate 94 at dusk, cutting a silhouette that whispered power rather than shouting it. But beneath that tailored exterior, the Riviera GS Grand Sport package transformed the coupe into something far more formidable. At its heart was Buick's 455 cubic inch Stage 1 V8, a torque-rich monster officially rated at 370 horsepower and 510 lb-ft of torque, though contemporary dyno tests suggested it made even more. This was one of the most powerful engines GM had ever put in a production vehicle. It was designed not just for speed, but for effortless, surging acceleration at any RPM. Drop your foot on the pedal, and the Riviera GS didn't lurch forward. It surged with an overwhelming, turbine-like push, as if the road itself was being reeled in. It wasn't loud or crude. It was smooth, composed, and devastatingly quick. The GS package wasn't limited to the engine. Buick engineers recalibrated the suspension for better handling, including stiffer springs, heavy-duty shocks, larger front and rear sway bars, and a quicker steering ratio. It made the car feel significantly more planted and responsive than the standard Riviera, without sacrificing the luxury ride that loyal Buick customers expected. You could take a sweeping backroad curve with surprising confidence, and then return to highway cruising in hushed silence. This wasn't a corner carver, but for its size and class, it was remarkably composed. An executive muscle car tuned for high-speed comfort. Inside, the Riviera GS was a world apart from the vinyl-scented world of Chevelles and Roadrunners. The cabin was plush and quiet, a masterclass in early 70s luxury design. Bucket seats came standard, along with a center console, wood grain trim, and a floor-mounted shifter. The dashboard curved around the driver with aircraft-inspired instrumentation, and the tilt-away steering column was a Buick hallmark. Every surface was padded, stitched, or trimmed, a reminder that this was meant to be a gentleman's car first and a bruiser second. But that combination, that dual personality, was exactly what made it special. The Riviera GS existed in a narrow lane. It wasn't flashy enough for the drag strip crowd, and it wasn't soft enough for the traditional Buick buyer who wanted nothing more than quiet comfort. As a result, production numbers were limited. Only a small fraction of Riviera buyers ticked the GS box, and fewer still opted for the high-compression Stage 1 motor. That makes these cars exceedingly rare today, and tragically overlooked. While everyone remembers the flashy GTOs, SS Chevelles, and Boss Mustangs, the Riviera GS slipped into obscurity, driven by people who appreciated its subtleties but never shouted about it. One former owner from Minneapolis told a story that summed up the car perfectly. When I parked it, people asked what kind of Cadillac it was. When I started it, they asked what kind of race car it was. That quiet duality, elegant outside, ferocious within, is what defines the 1970 Riviera GS to this day. It was a muscle car for those who didn't need validation. A boulevard bruiser that could hold its own against far louder competitors, both literally and figuratively. Looking back now, the 1970 Riviera GS feels like a turning point. It was the last Riviera of the classic era, before the controversial boat tail design took over in '71. It was also one of the last Buicks built with unfiltered muscle car spirit before the full brunt of government regulation. Rising insurance costs and emissions equipment began choking off performance across the board. In many ways, number 2, the 1971 Lincoln Continental Mark III was not merely a car. It was a rolling statement. In an era when American luxury meant size, swagger, and the shimmer of polished chrome, the Mark III stood tall, bold, and unapologetically grandiose. It was Lincoln's answer to Cadillac's front-wheel drive Eldorado, and in many ways, it out-Eldorado'd the Eldorado. This was not a vehicle for the shy or the budget-minded. It was for the man who wore double-breasted suits, smoked long cigars, and expected to be noticed even while idling at a red light. In short, the Mark III was Detroit's interpretation of aristocracy on wheels. Its styling was unmistakable. The front end featured a massive Rolls-Royce-inspired grille, upright, imposing, and flanked by hidden headlamps that blinked open like a slow, calculated wink. The car's flanks were long and eerily smooth, with chrome trim running just enough to catch the light without overwhelming the design. At over 228 inches in length, it cast the kind of shadow that turned parking into performance art. The rear deck was wide and flat, ending in a dramatic Continental kit hump that mimicked the look of a rear-mounted spare tire, even though none was actually there. It was purely symbolic, a design flourish that evoked luxury from the 1930s while reinforcing the Mark III's position as a classic in the making. Under the hood lived a 460 cubic inch V8 rated at a walloping 365 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque, numbers that would shame many so-called muscle cars of the day. But don't mistake it for a drag racer. The Mark III wasn't built for speed, it was built for presence. That engine didn't roar. It hummed, like a baritone singing from another room. It moved the car with unhurried grace, a low-end wave of torque pushing you forward as if carried by luxury itself. It would cruise all day at 70 miles without breaking a sweat, and more importantly, without raising your voice over the whisper-quiet cabin. That interior, was a sensory experience. Wood grain trim stretched across a dash sculpted like a captain's console, and the leather or brocade seats were more akin to living room armchairs than automotive thrones. Deep pile shag carpeting, map lights, Cartier-branded clocks, power everything. The Mark III didn't just offer features, it offered an experience. Even the warning chimes were designed to sound like a polite reminder from a butler rather than a buzzer from a factory floor. It was both indulgent and dignified, exactly what Lincoln had intended. The Mark III was also among the first cars to offer features that would define luxury for the next 2 decades. Automatic climate control, power headrests, and an FM8 track stereo that made Barry White sound like he was sitting next to you. Some models even had built-in auto lube systems that would lubricate the chassis for you. Because if you owned a Mark III, getting under the car was simply beneath you. Collectors today look back on the Mark III as the last truly uncompromised American personal luxury car. It came before the full weight of federal regulations, before emissions controls began choking power, before downsizing. It was a monument to late 1960s ambition, a final opulent chapter before the automotive world grew practical and cautious. A Lincoln collector from Detroit once summed it up with theatrical honesty. The Mark III wasn't designed to take corners. It was designed to command attention at 5 miles per hour, and that's precisely what it did. It didn't hug the road, it hovered above it. It didn't apologize for its girth, it celebrated it. It didn't whisper opulence, it declared it 1 square foot of chrome at a time. Today, the 1971 Mark III remains a symbol of a uniquely American kind of luxury, where dignity was measured in wheelbase inches and confidence came chromed. It wasn't about speed or efficiency. It was about presence, status, and the simple joy of driving something that made the world pause and stare. Number 3. The 1970 Dodge Challenger RT wasn't just a response to the pony car revolution. It was Chrysler's knockout punch. A latecomer that made up for lost time with sheer presence, power, and polish. While Ford had started the game with the Mustang in 1964 and Chevy followed with the Camaro in '67, Dodge waited, watched, and then unleashed something bigger, bolder, and meaner than anything else in the segment. The Challenger was built on Chrysler's E-body platform, which allowed for a longer wheelbase than its rivals, giving it a planted, imposing stance that immediately set it apart. And in RT trim, short for road track, the Challenger was nothing short of a street-legal predator with style. Visually, the 1970 Challenger RT was a masterstroke of design. From the side, it displayed a classic Coke bottle silhouette, a gently tapering midsection, bookended by flared fenders that gave the car a taut, muscular tension. The front end featured a full-width grille with inset quad headlights that glowed like predators' eyes at dusk. Every detail was sharp but restrained. The functional hood scoops, the twin exhaust cutouts in the rear valance, the subtle RT badging, and the high-contrast color schemes that screamed Mopar muscle without devolving into parody. And if you optioned the car with the famous shaker hood, a center-mounted air scoop that rose through a cutout and visibly vibrated with engine pulse, you didn't just drive a car, you drove a live animal. But the true core of the RT was its range of power plants, culminating in the mighty 426 Hemi, Chrysler's legendary elephant engine, rated at 425 horsepower and 490 of torque. The Hemi was more than numbers on paper. It was a primal experience. Fire it up, and the entire car would tremble with anticipation. Step on the back, and you were thrown into the kind of acceleration that demanded total respect. Coupled with a heavy-duty torque flight automatic or a 4-speed manual with a pistol grip shifter, and backed by a sure grip limited slip differential, the RT with a Hemi wasn't just fast, it was ferocious. The suspension was firmed up with heavy-duty shocks, torsion bars, and sway bars, making it more than just a straight-line missile. Sure, it wasn't a nimble canyon carver, but it could hustle through curves with surprising control for a car its size. And with optional front disc brakes and power steering, the RT was far more composed than its brutish image might suggest. Inside, the Challenger RT continued the dual identity, raw muscle wrapped in refinement. Bucket seats with optional leather, a rally gauge cluster with a 150 mAh speedometer and 8,000 RPM tach, wood grain trim, and a center console with that unmistakable shifter made the cockpit feel like a blend of fighter jet and upscale GT. The cabin was roomy, with excellent visibility and just enough insulation to make long drives comfortable, even when the engine was thundering beneath the hood. Production numbers for the Hemi-equipped RT were low. Only 356 hardtops and 60 convertibles were built, with the 426 Hemi in 1970, making them extraordinarily rare and valuable today. But even the more common 46-pack and Magnum models delivered thunderous performance and classic Mopar presence. Every Challenger RT from 1970 carries the aura of a machine built without compromise, at the height of Detroit's unrestrained horsepower war. One organ owner, still driving his original Hemi RT, described it like this: "It had the lines of a thoroughbred and the voice of a lion. People still stop and stare when I drive it today." And indeed, the Challenger wasn't just a car, it was a statement, a rolling thunderclap that blended aggression and beauty with unmatched flair. Today, the 1970 Dodge Challenger RT stands among the most revered muscle cars ever built. It was Mopar's bold declaration that they could outstyle, outmuscle, and outclass the competition. And for one glorious year, they did exactly that. It's a machine that captures the heart, stirs the soul, and reminds us why the golden age of muscle was never just about speed. It was about presence, passion, and the kind of design that leaves a lasting imprint on everyone who sees it rumble by. Number 4. The 1970 Mercury Cougar Eliminator is a muscle car shrouded in paradox, one that perfectly captures the complex spirit of early 70s American performance. Power cloaked in sophistication, aggression wrapped in elegance, and raw capability hidden beneath a veneer of refinement. It existed in a rarefied niche, a place where a car wasn't just a machine, but a statement about identity, style, and subtle menace. While its stablemate, the Ford Mustang, was the loud, brash darling of the pony car wars, the Cougar Eliminator carved a quieter, more deliberate path, a muscle car for the gentleman who wanted the best of both worlds. Explosive performance without sacrificing poise or panache. At first glance, the Eliminator looks like a carefully tailored suit. Its long, lean body stretched nearly 116 inches between the wheels, longer and wider than many of its competitors, lending it a presence that was both commanding and graceful. The car's design was a masterstroke of proportion and detail, not aggressive by brute force, but aggressive by intention. The signature Coke bottle curves tapered inward at the waist and flared out over the muscular rear quarters, creating a visual tension that seemed to promise speed even at a standstill. The front fascia was dominated by a blacked-out grille, flanked by pop-up hidden headlights that vanished behind sleek doors when off, adding a futuristic and mysterious aura. Racing stripes, chin spoilers, and optional rear deck spoilers completed the aggressive yet elegant aesthetic without overdoing it. It was a car built to be admired for its lines as much as its speed. Underneath this poised exterior lurked a range of power plants that elevated the Eliminator beyond mere looks. The base engine was the dependable 351 Windsor V8, but the Eliminator's true spirit was found in its high-performance options. The 428 Cobra Jet was a street legend, a big block that churned out upwards of 335 horsepower and monstrous torque figures that could pin you to your seat. Yet for those who hungered for something even more extreme, Mercury offered the 428 Super Cobra Jet, a factory-built drag racing engine with solid lifters, forged internals, and a 4.30.1 rear axle ratio that transformed the car into a quarter-mile predator. That engine wasn't just about numbers. It was about the visceral experience of thrust, the explosive launch that could humble more celebrated muscle cars without warning. Adding a fascinating twist to the Eliminator story was the rare Boss 302 option, an engine originally designed for the Mustang's Trans Am race program. This high-revving small-block V8 was the epitome of precision performance, light, responsive, and screaming to redline. Equipped with the Boss 302, the Eliminator became not just a brute, but a scalpel, a car that could dance through corners as deftly as it could storm the strip. This rare engine choice underscored the Eliminator's unique dual personality, part elegant cruiser, part ruthless competitor. Inside, the Cougar Eliminator's cabin was a sanctuary of both comfort and driver-focused ergonomics. Plush high-back bucket seats embraced occupants with a mix of vinyl and optional leather, while the dash was a carefully orchestrated blend of wood grain panels, chrome accents, and sporty instrumentation. The rally gauge cluster featured a 150 mph speedometer and a tachometer that seemed to dare you to push the limits. The leather-wrapped steering wheel was thick and grippy, perfect for planting the car into corners or commanding the road on a straight stretch. Unlike many muscle cars of the era, which sometimes sacrificed creature comforts for performance, the Eliminator made no apologies. It offered power and luxury in equal measure. The suspension setup was also carefully engineered to support this dual nature. With heavy-duty shocks, torsion bars, and sway bars, the Eliminator delivered a firmer, more controlled ride than a standard Cougar. It wasn't a razor-sharp sports car, but it was surprisingly competent on twisty roads for a pony car of its size. Power steering and front disc brakes came standard on many models, ensuring the car was manageable even when you pressed hard on the throttle. Despite its undeniable strengths, the 1970 Cougar Eliminator never quite received the spotlight it deserved. Mercury's marketing budget and dealer networks were overshadowed by Ford's Mustang juggernaut, and many enthusiasts overlooked the Cougar in favor of flashier or louder competitors. Production numbers were modest, just 2,267 units built in 1970, making surviving examples today a rare and prized find. Its unique combination of luxury and ferocity, style and substance, remains a magnet for collectors and enthusiasts who appreciate muscle cars with nuance and personality. One Mercury performance historian summed it up perfectly. "It was like James Bond moonlighting as a drag racer." That quote captures the soul of the Eliminator better than. Number 5. The 1971 Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS 454 was a rare blend of old-school muscle aggression wrapped in genteel luxury. A car designed to turn heads not by shouting, but by quietly asserting dominance. While the Monte Carlo nameplate itself was Chevrolet's attempt to capture the growing personal luxury coupe market, the SS 454 trim elevated this mission into something far more compelling. Where the base Monte Carlo was an elegant, refined cruiser meant for smooth highway miles and stylish Sunday drives, the SS 454 was built for men who wanted to make a statement both on the boulevard and on the strip. From the outside, the Monte Carlo SS 454 was a study in purposeful understatement. Unlike the wildly aggressive muscle cars of the era, it didn't rely on flashy decals or gaudy racing stripes. Instead, it showcased a long, low hood with crisp, sharp body lines that gave the car a chiseled, athletic appearance. The roofline was tucked in just enough to suggest agility without sacrificing the spaciousness of the cabin, and the overall proportions struck a perfect balance between luxury coupe and muscle machine. The blacked-out trim around the windows and grille added a hint of menace, while the functional cowl induction hood wasn't just a cosmetic flourish, it was a direct invitation to the power lurking beneath. That power came from Chevrolet's mighty LS5 454 cubic inch big block V8, a brute that delivered a factory-rated 360 horsepower and a staggering 500 bc of torque. It was an engine that provided effortless acceleration, yet did so with a smoothness that belied its raw strength. The cowl induction system improved airflow to the engine under hard acceleration, allowing the Monte Carlo to breathe deeply and roar with authority when pushed. Paired with either a 4-speed manual or the turbo-hydromatic automatic transmission, the SS 454 was capable of sprinting from 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds, a serious feat for a nearly 40-ton, 200-pound coupe. Inside the Monte Carlo SS 454 was a blend of comfort and driver-focused design. High-back bucket seats enveloped occupants in plush vinyl or optional leather, while a full set of gauges lined the dashboard to keep the driver connected to every vital detail. Wood grain trim and chrome accents peppered the cabin, reinforcing the car's dual identity as both a luxurious cruiser and a performance machine. The overall interior design was tailored to appeal to buyers who wanted muscle car power without sacrificing refinement and style. The suspension was tuned for balance, stiffer than the base Monte Carlo, but still comfortable enough for long drives. Power front disc brakes were standard, ensuring the big coupe could be brought to a controlled stop when called upon. Steering was responsive but weighted, giving the driver confidence whether carving gentle curves or flying down a quarter-mile strip. Despite its impressive attributes, the 1971 Monte Carlo SS 454 was produced in relatively limited numbers, making it a coveted gem among muscle car enthusiasts today. It was never about flash or bluster. Instead, it exuded an aura of quiet confidence, like a well-dressed heavyweight fighter who doesn't need to raise his voice to command the room. As one classic GM enthusiast succinctly put it, it was for the guy who wore gold rings, but could still outlaunch a roadrunner at a stoplight. That duality perfectly captures the Monte Carlo SS 454's spirit. Sophisticated enough to be respected at country clubs, and powerful enough to embarrass more flamboyant muscle cars on Main Street. Today, the 1971 Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS 454 remains a symbol of American automotive finesse and raw strength intertwined. It embodies an era when muscle cars began to evolve from wild, unrefined beasts into capable, polished grand tourers. a class of car that could be as comfortable on the freeway as it was fierce on the drag strip. For collectors and enthusiasts, it's a reminder that muscle doesn't always have to scream. It can whisper with deadly intent, leaving an impression that lasts long after the exhaust note fades. Number 6. The 1971 Pontiac Grand Prix SJ was a magnificent blend of bold design and brute force, a car that unapologetically flaunted its dual nature as both a grand touring luxury coupe and a muscle car heavyweight. Stretching the boundaries of the A-body platform, Pontiac's engineers and designers crafted the Grand Prix SJ to compete not only with domestic rivals like the Chevrolet Monte Carlo, but also with luxury European grand tourers that valued both presence and performance. This was Pontiac at its most ambitious, a vehicle that demanded attention not through flashy gimmicks, but through sheer scale, style, and power. From the moment you laid eyes on the 1971 Grand Prix SJ, it was clear this was no ordinary coupe. The wheelbase was stretched to nearly 116 inches, longer than many full-size sedans of the time, creating an imposing silhouette that seemed to glide effortlessly across the pavement. The hood, impossibly long and low, was a visual statement of the potent engine hidden beneath. At the front, the signature beak grille lent the car an almost predatory aspect, flanked by quad headlights recessed deep into the bodywork, giving the face a sculpted, purposeful look that set it apart from the crowd. Dramatic fender bulges enhanced the muscularity of the car's profile, hinting at the power waiting to be unleashed. The rear quarters were tightly drawn, culminating in a louvered back window that added a sporty touch and improved rear visibility, blending form and function in perfect harmony. The SJ trim was where the Grand Prix showed its true colors. Central to its identity was the legendary 455 HO, high-output V8, Pontiac's last great big block before the muscle car era began to wane. With a factory rating of 360 horsepower and a brutal 500,000 of torque, this engine wasn't just powerful. It was a testament to Pontiac's commitment to performance at a time when emissions and insurance pressures were mounting. The 455 HO was capable of propelling the Grand Prix from 0 to 60 miles per hour in the low 6-second range, impressive for a car tipping the scales at nearly 4,200 pounds. Paired with a heavy-duty turbo-hydromatic 400 automatic transmission or an optional 4-speed manual, the SJ could be as relaxed or as ferocious as the driver demanded. Inside, the Grand Prix SJ was a masterclass in driver-centric design and luxury. The dashboard wrapped around the driver like a fighter jet cockpit, complete with richly grained wood trim, deep pile carpeting, and a host of analog gauges and toggle switches that delivered vital information at a glance. The steering wheel was thick and comfortable, designed to provide a confident grip during spirited driving, while the bucket seats combined comfort with support, perfect for long-distance cruising or aggressive cornering. The attention to detail extended to the carpeting, headliner, and door panels, all finished with high-quality materials that made the interior feel like a sanctuary of sophistication amid the raw power lurking beneath the hood. The suspension and chassis tuning of the Grand Prix SJ were carefully balanced to deliver both poise and authority. Heavy-duty springs, shocks, and sway bars improved handling without sacrificing ride comfort, while power-assisted steering and front disc brakes gave the driver precise control. Though it was never a nimble sports car, the Grand Prix SJ was remarkably composed for its size, capable of carving through sweeping turns with surprising confidence and offering a planted feel at high speeds. Despite its many strengths, the 1971 Grand Prix SJ was produced in limited numbers, with fewer than 5,000 built, making it a prized collector's car today. Its bold styling, powerful engine, and luxurious appointments combine to create a vehicle that appeals to enthusiasts who appreciate the rare, more refined expressions of muscle car glory. It stands as a reminder that muscle cars didn't have to be loud or crude. They could be elegant, imposing, and sophisticated, while still packing a punch. One Grand Prix SJ restorer from Georgia summed up the experience perfectly. The only thing cooler than looking at it was sitting behind that wheel. That's the essence of the 1971 Pontiac Grand Prix SJ. A car that looks like a heavyweight champion and drives like a finely tuned fighter, offering an intoxicating blend of power, presence, and prestige. It remains a shining example of Pontiac's commitment to innovation and performance during a transitional era in American muscle car history, a car that still commands respect and admiration wherever it appears. Number 7. The 1973 Chrysler Imperial LeBaron stands as the ultimate expression of an era when American automotive design was synonymous with grandeur, indulgence, and unrestrained luxury. This car was not simply a mode of transportation. It was an automotive cathedral, a statement of power and prestige forged from steel and craftsmanship. In the early 1970s, as the muscle car era began to fade and regulations tightened, the Imperial LeBaron held onto a dying breed of American land yachts that prioritized presence and comfort above all else. Stretching over a staggering 235 inches from bumper to bumper, it was one of the longest production cars ever built in the United States, a true behemoth designed to dominate the road and every social scene it entered. The design language of the 73 Imperial LeBaron was a masterclass in restrained elegance and commanding authority. Rather than relying on excessive chrome or gaudy details, the car's strength came from its bold, slab-sided panels that created expansive, uninterrupted surfaces catching light and shadow with sublime effect. This was a car that didn't need to shout to be noticed. Its massive size alone was enough to silence a room. The front end was anchored by a wide, dramatic waterfall grille stretching nearly the entire width of the car, a statement piece with hidden headlights tucked neatly behind retractable doors. This design choice gave the car the clean, sophisticated face, like a poised predator, calm yet unmistakably powerful. The hood stretched long and flat, hinting at the monstrous V8 power lurking beneath. From the side, the Imperial's silhouette was a lesson in proportion and grandeur. The roofline gently swept back, creating a continuous flow that connected the tall, broad greenhouse to the broad, muscular rear haunches. Those haunches flared subtly but deliberately, leading into integrated taillights that hugged the fenders, emphasizing the car's width and presence. The vast expanse of bodywork, interrupted only by understated chrome trim and carefully placed creases, gave the Imperial a look of timeless sophistication that could only come from a car designed to be majestic without excess. Inside, the Imperial LeBaron was a sanctuary of luxury, comfort, and technological innovation. An oasis in an era when automotive refinement was still measured by tactile quality and attention to detail. Plush, sumptuous leather upholstery enveloped passengers in sumptuous comfort, while thick, deep-pile carpeting muffled every road noise and vibration. Rich wood grain trim and elegant chrome accents adorned the dashboard and door panels, creating an atmosphere more akin to a private club lounge than a car interior. The instrument panel was thoughtfully laid out, with large, clear analog gauges and switches within easy reach, designed to make the driving experience effortless and pleasurable. Power operated everything, from windows and seats to the trunk and hood, reinforced the Imperial's status as a car that demanded to be driven or simply chauffeured in effortless style. The powertrain of the 73 Imperial LeBaron was nothing short of monumental. Under its long hood resided Chrysler's renowned 440 cubic inch V8 engine, delivering approximately 290 horsepower and a robust 460 pound-feet of torque. This massive engine propelled the Imperial with a smooth, steady surge of power that felt effortless, yet commanding. It was not a muscle car built for corner, carving, or track days. Rather, it was a vessel of quiet strength, a cruiser designed to glide over highways and city streets with a majestic sense of purpose. The transmission, a reliable torque flight automatic, provided smooth shifts that complemented the engine's torque, ensuring that the LeBaron's performance was as refined as its appearance. One of the Imperial's most lauded features was its sophisticated air suspension system, which contributed significantly to its legendary ride quality. This self-leveling suspension absorbed bumps and road imperfections with an almost supernatural smoothness, making passengers feel as if they were floating on a cloud rather than rolling on tires. The car's massive weight was no obstacle to this suspension. Instead, it was a key element that turned the Imperial into a sanctuary from the outside world, where every journey was an indulgence in comfort and grace. The steering, while hefty due to the size and weight of the car, was precise and gave the driver a reassuring sense of control despite the Imperial's colossal dimensions. Braking was handled by large, power-assisted drums, engineered to safely bring the heavy cruiser to a stop when needed. Culturally, the 1973 Imperial LeBaron was more than just a car. It was a symbol of a lifestyle, an era when American luxury was defined by scale, craftsmanship, and an unyielding desire to impress. It was the kind of vehicle favored by executives, celebrities, and those who wanted to make a statement without uttering a word. Number 8. The 1972 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray C3 is one of the most iconic and visually arresting American sports cars of the early 1970s, embodying a rare fusion of aggressive performance and seductive design. As the last model year to feature the beloved chrome bumpers before safety regulations mandated more cumbersome urethane alternatives, the 1972 Stingray represents the end of an era and the pinnacle of the C3's first-generation styling, a perfect balance of raw muscle and sculptural artistry. From the moment you lay eyes on the 1972 Stingray, it's impossible not to be captivated by its sinuous, flowing lines. The body is a masterclass in automotive design, with deeply flared fenders that sweep back dramatically from the pointed, shark-like nose. The front end is low and aggressive, with pop-up headlights that seem to vanish seamlessly into the bodywork when not in use, adding a sense of mystery and menace. Along the flanks, the Stingray script in flowing cursive script is a subtle but unmistakable signature, announcing the car's pedigree without ostentation. The rear of the car tapers sharply into a tight, compact tail, balancing the front's muscular bulk with an athletic, poised finish. The removable T-tops add to the car's allure, allowing owners to experience open-air freedom while maintaining the coupe's sleek silhouette. Beneath the striking exterior, the 1972 Corvette Stingray was more than just a pretty face. It was a serious performance machine. The optional LT1 engine was the gem of the lineup, a high-performance 350 cubic inch V8 that delivered 255 horsepower, a respectable figure for the increasingly regulated era. The LT1 combined the brute force Corvette was known for with a refined throttle response and a willingness to rev higher than the big blocks, making it a favorite among enthusiasts who wanted a balance of speed and agility. While horsepower numbers were beginning to fall due to stricter emission standards and insurance penalties, the Stingray's nimble chassis, rear-wheel drive layout, and precise handling ensured it remained a thrilling driver's car. The interior was focused on the driving experience as well. Low-slung bucket seats hugged occupants in place during spirited drives, while the cockpit-style dashboard placed all essential controls within easy reach. Instruments were clear and informative, with a large tachometer and speedometer dominating the panel. The leather-wrapped steering wheel was thick and responsive, giving the driver a direct connection to the road and the car's responsive chassis. Comfort and style were thoughtfully balanced, making the Corvette suitable for long cruises or track day excitement. The 1972 model year marked the last of the chrome bumpers, which were both a blessing and a curse. While they maintained the Corvette's sleek, classic look, they were heavy and less safe than the newer urethane versions that would arrive in 1973. This transition adds a layer of nostalgic appeal to the 1972 Stingray. It's the last true example of the classic Corvette styling that had begun with the C3's dramatic introduction in 1968. As one Corvette museum docent famously said, "It wasn't just a car, it was a poster you could drive." And that perfectly captures the spirit of the 72 Stingray. Its combination of stunning aesthetics, muscular performance, and distinctive character made it a symbol of aspiration and freedom for a generation. It represented the ultimate American sports car dream, an object of desire that could be seen everywhere, from posters on bedroom walls to the roaring drag strips of the era. Today, the 1972 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray remains a highly sought-after collector's piece and a beloved classic, admired not just for its performance, but for its artful design that continues to inspire automotive enthusiasts worldwide. It stands as a testament to Chevrolet's ability to meld beauty and brawn into a single, unforgettable package. A car that captures the soul of the early 70s sports car scene and the dreams of every driver who ever yearned for speed wrapped in style. Number 9. The 1970 Oldsmobile 442W30 convertible is a shining example of muscle car elegance married to raw, uncompromising power. While the muscle car wars of the late 60s and early 70s often featured loud graphics, flashy stripes, and oversized spoilers designed to catch the eye, the Oldsmobile 442W30 took a different path, one rooted in subtlety, precision, and understated menace. Its design exuded confidence without the need for shouting, proving that true muscle car presence comes as much from proportion and detail as from horsepower numbers. The convertible version added an extra layer of allure, combining open-air freedom with one of the most potent powertrains Oldsmobile ever offered. Visually, the 442W30 convertible was a study in tasteful aggression. The body was muscular and well-balanced, with a wide, planted stance that gave it a commanding presence on the road. Gone were the oversized wings and gaudy decals of many contemporaries, replaced instead with clean, crisp lines that emphasize the car's athleticism. The fiberglass hood, a hallmark of the W30 package, featured dual scoops that weren't just cosmetic. They served a vital function in channeling cold, dense air to the powerful engine beneath. The convertible's top, when down, revealed a driver-focused cockpit with bucket seats and a straightforward dash, making it as enjoyable to drive on a winding country road as it was to cruise the boulevard on a warm summer night. Under the hood lurked Oldsmobile's mighty 455 cubic inch V8, enhanced by the coveted W30 performance package. This wasn't just any big block, it came equipped with cold air induction for improved breathing, red-painted inner fenders that signified the car's special status, an aluminum intake manifold to reduce weight and boost airflow, and a camshaft carefully calibrated to deliver a potent blend of torque and horsepower. The official numbers, over 350 horsepower and more than 500,000 of torque, don't fully capture what this engine meant in real-world terms. It was a torque monster, capable of launching the convertible from a standstill with a ferocity that often left competitors' muscle cars eating its dust. The W30 package was Oldsmobile's answer to the increasing demands for both performance and drivability. The car featured heavy-duty suspension components to manage its power, including upgraded springs, shocks, and sway bars that kept the convertible planted through corners and minimized body roll. Power front disc brakes were standard, ensuring the driver could rein in the beast safely. Yet despite its potent underpinnings, the 442W30 convertible maintained a surprising level of comfort and refinement, making it a versatile car capable of thrilling weekend drives as well as daily use. The convertible variant of the 442W30 is especially rare, making surviving examples highly prized among collectors and enthusiasts. Unlike the more common hardtops, the convertible offered the added drama of open-air motoring, turning heads not just with sound and speed, but with the visceral experience of wind in your hair and the roar of a big block V8 all around you. It perfectly combines style and substance, delivering an intoxicating mix of elegance and raw power that few cars of the era could match. Longtime owner and Texas native recalls, people thought it was just a Cutlass until it smoked their Charger off the line. This quote captures the essence of the 442W30 convertible, an unassuming muscle car that commanded respect not through flashiness, but through undeniable performance. It was a car that rewarded those who looked beyond its clean exterior to the beating heart within, a heart capable of thrilling acceleration and relentless torque. In the broader landscape of American muscle cars, the 1970 Oldsmobile 442W30 convertible remains a quintessential example of how power and poise can coexist. It was a car for drivers who wanted more than just straight-line speed. They wanted style, presence, and an experience that balanced refinement with ferocity. Today, it stands as a rare and coveted icon, a muscle car that's as beautiful cruising with the top down as it is brutal when the light turns green. The 70 442W30 convertible isn't just a car, it's a testament to Oldsmobile's ability to craft muscle with subtlety, sophistication, and soul. Number 10. The 1977 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am Special Edition is arguably the defining muscle car of the late 1970s. A vehicle whose combination of bold styling, cultural cachet, and performance cemented its place in automotive and pop culture history. While muscle cars of the early 70s had begun to lose steam due to rising insurance rates, emissions regulations, and the oil crisis, Pontiac defied the odds with the Trans Am SE, crafting a car that wasn't just competitive, it was iconic. Its striking black and gold paint scheme, elaborate detailing, and aggressive bodywork made it impossible to ignore, even decades later. Visually, the Trans Am SE was an absolute showstopper. The glossy black finish acted like a dramatic stage for the vivid gold accents that adorned nearly every inch of the car. The giant screaming chicken hood decal became the symbol of rebellion and power, its phoenix-like wings spreading across the massive shaker hood scoop that wasn't just for show but functionally routed fresh air directly into the engine. The gold honeycomb wheels added a touch of refinement while still speaking to the car's athleticism, perfectly matching the subtle gold pinstriping tracing the contours of the body. The body itself was muscular and aggressive, with flared fenders, a pronounced front spoiler, and a wide stance that gave the car a planted, ready-to-pounce look. The design language of the Firebird SE was revolutionary for its time. Rather than blending in with the crowd or following the subdued trends of the late 70s, it boldly asserted itself, setting the tone for a new generation of American muscle cars. Its aerodynamic shape, combined with the flared wheel arches and aggressive front fascia, gave the impression of raw speed even when the car was standing still. The signature shaker hood wasn't just a styling flourish. It was a direct connection between the driver and the car's powerful engine, protruding through the hood and visibly moving with the engine's rhythm. Under the hood, the 77 Trans Am SE packed a respectable punch. While horsepower figures were down across the muscle car world by this time due to tighter emission standards, Pontiac equipped this special edition with a 400 cubic inch V8 that produced a stout 200 horsepower in its factory tune. Paired with a smooth turbo hydromatic automatic transmission or a close ratio manual, the Trans Am offered brisk acceleration and robust torque, enough to make it a thrilling performer on the street and strip. More importantly, it retained the muscle car spirit, a blend of power, handling, and attitude that enthusiasts craved. Inside, the Trans Am SE was comfortable and driver-focused. The cabin featured distinctive black and gold accents to match the exterior, with sporty bucket seats that held occupants in place during spirited driving. The dashboard was designed with the driver in mind, featuring large gauges and a functional layout that emphasized control and visibility. While it lacked some of the luxury appointments found in other cars of the era, the Trans Am's interior was perfectly suited for its purpose, an aggressive, no-nonsense driver's car with enough creature comforts to make daily driving enjoyable. What truly elevated the 1977 Trans Am SE into legendary status was its sudden explosion onto the pop culture scene. The film Smokey and the Bandit immortalized the car, turning it from a bold American muscle coupe into a symbol of freedom, rebellion, and the open road. Burt Reynolds' black and gold Trans Am wasn't just a prop, it was a character embodying the swagger, attitude, and raw energy of the era. This cinematic exposure created a lasting mythos around the car, fueling demand and making it one of the most recognizable muscle cars in history. The Trans Am SE's influence extended well beyond the silver screen. It helped rejuvenate Pontiac's performance image during a challenging era and inspired countless enthusiasts and customizers to emulate its aggressive styling and attitude. The car's mix of heritage, design, and pop culture status makes it a quintessential symbol of 70s muscle, embodying the spirit of American performance when muscle was becoming more about style and attitude than pure horsepower. A longtime owner who has cherished their Trans Am SE since 1980 perfectly summed up its allure. It was a street legend, part myth, part muscle, all attitude. That quote encapsulates the car's essence, equal parts icon and adrenaline, combining a timeless design with a rebellious spirit that refuses to fade. Even decades later, the 77 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am SE commands respect and admiration, standing as a monument to an era when American muscle was evolving but never losing its edge. For collectors, enthusiasts, and anyone who appreciates the fusion of design, culture, and performance, The 1907 Trans Am SE remains an unassailable classic. Its glossy black paint and shimmering gold accents continue to turn heads. Number 11. The 1991 AMC Javelin AMX represents a fascinating and underappreciated chapter in American muscle car history, a shining example of how ambition, ingenuity, and fierce determination allowed a smaller manufacturer to step confidently into a landscape dominated by the muscle car titans of Detroit's Big Three. American Motors Corporation, often overshadowed by the vast resources and marketing machines of Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler, never had the financial might to outspend its competitors. But AMC compensated with clever engineering, bold styling, and a spirit that resonated deeply with enthusiasts who wanted to own something different, something that didn't just blend in with the crowd. The 1971 Javelin AMX was that rare breed of muscle car, equal parts underdog and heavyweight contender, a vehicle that combined aggressive aesthetics, serious performance credentials, and a rich racing pedigree into a compelling package that still turns heads decades later. The second-generation Javelin, introduced in 1971, was a radical evolution from its predecessor and a deliberate bid to elevate AMC's muscle car credentials. The AMX variant, short for American Motors Experimental, was the high-performance, racing-inspired trim that stole the spotlight. AMC's designers took bold liberties, reshaping the car with dramatically flared and bulging fenders that gave it an unmistakably aggressive stance. These fenders weren't mere styling flourishes. They accommodated wide racing tires, contributing to the car's improved grip and handling balance, which was essential for its success in competition and spirited street driving. The front end featured a deeply inset grille framed by sharp, angular lines that lent the car a predatory look, as if it were a sleek missile prepared to launch down the drag strip or attack tight curves on a race circuit. Unlike many muscle cars of the era that relied heavily on flashy decals, stripes, or oversized spoilers, the Javelin AMX spoke volumes through its sculpted body and purposeful stance, exuding aggression without resorting to gimmicks. The car's body shape was low, wide, and muscular, with a tapering roofline and a rear end that was compact but commanding. The wide track combined with the low center of gravity made the car stable and confident at high speeds, especially around corners. The sculpted hood and long profile created a sense of motion even when standing still, making the Javelin AMX look like a race car masquerading as a street-legal muscle car. Its design reflected AMC's racing ambitions, which were very much a part of the brand's identity at the time, especially through its involvement in the Trans Am series. Powering this aggressive machine was the formidable 401 cubic inch V8, AMC's big block engine that pushed out an estimated 330 horsepower and an earth-shaking 430 lb-ft of torque. This engine gave the Javelin AMX serious muscle, allowing it to compete on an equal footing with the many better-known rivals from the Big Three. The torque-rich nature of the 401 made it exceptionally strong off the line, delivering brutal acceleration and making the car the force to be reckoned with in both street and track environments. The engine was paired with a performance-tuned suspension system, heavy-duty brakes, and rally-style wheels, all of which enhanced the car's dynamic capabilities and reliability during high-stress driving. This combination made the Javelin AMX not just a muscle car in name, but a genuinely competitive contender in the grueling world of Trans Am racing, where it earned respect despite AMC's smaller size. Inside, the Javelin AMX reflected the car's dual nature as both a track-focused machine and a daily driver. The cabin was designed to be functional and driver-centric, with comfortable bucket seats that provided support during spirited driving, a straightforward instrument panel with clear, easy-to-read gauges, and a minimalist layout that prioritized usability over luxury. The interior simplicity underscored the car's performance-first attitude, though options like rally gauges and floor shifters were available to enhance the driver's engagement with the machine. The overall feel was one of purposeful restraint, a cockpit built for focus and control rather than flamboyance. What made the 1971 Javelin AMX truly special was its embodiment of AMC's underdog spirit. It was a car built not by the industry's giants with endless budgets, but by a company willing to take risks, innovate, and fight for every inch of performance and prestige. This underdog narrative resonated deeply with enthusiasts who were tired of the muscle car market being dominated by the usual suspects. The Javelin AMX was proof that ingenuity, passion, and bold design could shake up the status quo. A vintage Trans Am racer once said it best: "It looked like a missile, built by an underdog with something to prove." This captures perfectly the raw energy and focused ambition packed. Number 12. The 1972 Ford Thunderbird Brougham Coupe is a majestic embodiment of the last golden era of American personal luxury cars before the sweeping changes of downsizing and regulation reshaped the industry. At a time when muscle cars were fading and compact efficiency was becoming the norm, the Thunderbird held fast to its identity as a symbol of opulence, grandeur, and effortless style. It wasn't just a car, it was a statement, a rolling sanctuary of comfort and dignity wrapped in an imposing, graceful design that seemed to command respect without ever raising its voice. From the moment you set eyes on the 72 Thunderbird Brougham Coupe, its presence is undeniable. Massive in scale, it combined the elegance of a formal luxury coupe with the kind of bold, confident styling that only a truly American car could pull off. The front end featured a wide, gleaming chrome grille that stretched proudly across the slab-sided flanks, reminiscent of polished armor guarding a fortress of comfort. Hidden headlights added a layer of sleek sophistication, disappearing flush into the bodywork to preserve the car's smooth, uninterrupted lines. The roofline was formal and dignified, tapering gently in a way that suggested both stateliness and aerodynamic purpose. At the rear, the graceful slope was adorned with the iconic Thunderbird script and a set of wraparound taillights that seemed to glow with a timeless elegance, perfectly balancing the car's imposing size with a sense of refined beauty. Step inside the brougham and the indulgence continues. The interior was crafted to cocoon its occupants in luxury, featuring thick velour upholstery that was soft to the touch and sumptuous in appearance. Wood grain trims stretched across the dash and door panels, adding warmth and richness that contrasted beautifully with the deep padded surfaces throughout the cabin. Every surface invited touch. Every detail spoke of care and craftsmanship. From the plush carpeting underfoot to the thick, comfortable seats and generously padded armrests, the interior was designed not for speed or sportiness, but for relaxation and stately comfort. The dashboard was expansive, with large, clearly marked gauges and elegant switchgear, arranged in a layout that prioritized ease and grace over complexity. Underneath its elegant exterior, the 72 Thunderbird Brougham was a heavy and substantial vehicle, tipping the scales at over 4,500 pounds. This weight was both a blessing and a curse. It lent the car a feeling of solidity and presence unmatched by smaller competitors, but also meant it was no sprinter. Powered by a 429 cubic inch V8 engine, the Thunderbird offered smooth, ample power designed to propel the large coupe with relaxed authority rather than aggressive urgency. The engine's torque was the key to the car's effortless cruising ability, allowing it to glide over highways with serene composure. Its suspension was tuned for comfort, absorbing bumps and imperfections with the grace of a high-end limousine, reinforcing the car's role as a personal luxury retreat. The 1972 Thunderbird Brougham Coupe was truly a last hurrah for a style of American car making that prioritized size, luxury, and stately presence over fuel economy or raw speed. It symbolized an era when cars were designed as expressions of status and taste, rolling extensions of their owner's personality and lifestyle. This was a car for those who wanted to arrive with dignity and settle in for a journey defined by ease and refinement, not haste. One Ford enthusiast from Detroit captured the car's essence perfectly when he said, "It looked like a presidential limo that had decided to retire and have fun." And that's exactly what the 72 Thunderbird Brougham felt like. An imposing figure of authority and luxury that wasn't afraid to show a little personality and playfulness. It offered the best of both worlds, the stately elegance of a high-end sedan with the Buick and freedom of a personal coupe, wrapped in a design so confident it seemed timeless. Today, the 1972 Ford Thunderbird Brougham Coupe remains a beloved classic, admired for its bold styling, sumptuous comfort, and status as a symbol of an era before personal luxury cars were forced to shrink and adapt. It stands as a monument to American automotive opulence. Heavy, indulgent, and beautifully crafted, an unforgettable chapter in Ford's storied history and the perfect embodiment of the personal luxury ideal at its peak.